Hello! Hashut's back! The real Hashut from the old world. In this video we'll be taking a look at a Warhammer community article which goes into the background for the Horns of Hashut Warcry Warband. There's also a cool bit of news at the end of this article as well. So yeah, also people at GW, there's somebody there. They blimmin' love cow themed headgear. I mean really, come on. So here we have a brand new article from the Warhammer community posted yesterday. The Horns of Hashut bring misery, death and fiery destruction to the new edition of Warcry. So I've had a quick scan through this, really great news. So, well, really interesting news. This is the same Hashut, or they're pretty much identical to the Hashut that existed in Warhammer Fantasy. So just skimming down, you have a quick video here which just showcases the Warband in a little more detail. I actually prefer the models when I kind of see them spinning around, so I'll post the link in this video if you wanted to take a look at those. Here's the key stuff. So the Horns of Hashut take their name from the evil Dwarden deity they worship, and also act as his heralds of ruination. Marching ahead of his legendary Dwarden legions, they conquer regions, laying waste to all life forms, leaving behind only wastelands for sprawling demon forges and dark armories. The humans that make up the Horns of Hashut have spent their lives living among the chaos-worshipping Dwarden, and have long since abandoned such concepts as compassion and mercy. So some really kind of key facts here. They do mention Dwarden. Something people picked up really early on. There was a leak of the Slaves to Darkness book, which is being released, confirmed by Warhammer community at the end of this year. Now, the leak gave the name of Horns of Hashut. Everybody assumed they were going to be a Chaos Dwarf warband. From a gameplay perspective, it's probably a good reason. Good that they're not. Dwarves are very slow. Warcry works better when you're at least able to move a bit faster. Maybe they'll give them little buggies or blimps or something. I mean, probably not, but you know, that's where the squats come in. But yeah, so Hashut in Warhammer Fantasy in the old world, just to give you a bit of background, was traditionally the deity of the Chaos Dwarves. He was known as the Father of Darkness, which interestingly enough does come up down here. I'll read this in a sec. He was the god of fire, greed, tyranny. He was a bit of a nasty bastard, and he essentially corrupted these dwarves. They wore ridiculously large hats. That may not have been his fault. He may not have been behind their style choices. They did grow tusks. I think he probably is to blame for that. And he was represented very much by a flaming bull, which I think the Beasts of Chaos have a spell which would look amazing if it was somehow linked to Hashut, and I think probably people that saw a rumour engine of that may have thought the same. Anyway, bit of background for you there. We have since seen Chaos Dwarves, and we saw them when the old world was pretty much destroyed. In the run up to that, they did release this big demon cannon, and Forge World then released a load of Chaos Dwarves without the massive hats. And we've had a couple of Chaos Dwarfs for Warcry. So yeah, bit of background there, bit of a ramble. So on to a bit more here. So Hashut, also known as the Father of Darkness, as he was back in the olden days, isn't known for his subtlety in war. Sneaking around and performing clandestine acts really isn't for him. His followers seek to emulate his ideal of unleashing an overwhelming violence, backed up with dark arcane firepower. Now Hashut has turned his eyes upon Fondia for his next campaign of brutal conquest and desolation. So here we get some artwork. It does slightly amuse me how similar this is to the Lumineth Realm Lords. Big cow hat. But, you know, I think they look cool. I mean, for me, the Iron Golems were the smithies, the Lumineth Realm Lords were the cow hat wearers. Perhaps treading on a few toes, but that's good reason for them to fight it out and duke it out in a game of Warcry. So, skipping down here, we've only got a little bit more background. So the Horns of Hashut have been tasked with laying waste to the entire Gnarlwood. They know if they can find the crashed Seraphon void ship known as the Eye of Chotek, they will be able to use its terraforming engines to transform the lush forest into a volcanic ashen desert. Hashut prefers a beach holiday to a jungle cruise. Horns of Hashut's warbands are led by the Ruinator Alpha, the most ruthless and tyrannical of the followers of the Father of Darkness. In battle, they wield a mighty two-pronged spear, or a devastating flail. So that's an interesting point, because we're only seeing this guy on this card, so there will be an alternate build. And in Warcry, they'll usually come with an alternate card. So that'll be interesting to see. The warbands that I've got, I haven't had alternate builds for my leader, so interesting to see. Another thing to point out here before I go into the details on this card, this is the Destroyer rune mark, and that just so happens to appear on the reaction ability, which was previewed in an earlier Warhammer community article, albeit sort of hidden in the midst of a picture. And down here they say, wait, does he have a bomb? We'll be finding out soon. So, I mean, yeah, it seems like these are linked, and the wording suggests it may be that if somebody gets a bit too close to him, he's going to lob this bomb in their faces. So anyway, at the start of this video I did mention something really exciting at the bottom of the article, which I'm just going to jump to now before I compare this Warcry card to other stuff, because I'm super excited about it. So we've had a closer look at the 2 warbands arriving in the new Warcry core set, but that's not all. Join us later in the week as we reveal a 3rd new Warcry warband arriving in time for the Heart of Ghur. We'll also have more Horns of Hashut rules next week. So we're getting another warband. I wonder if we're maybe getting a couple of warbands to go alongside this box set. So I wouldn't be surprised, as this is a 2nd edition of Warcry, I wouldn't be surprised if close to the release of this box we'll see a separate rulebook release, just because there are a lot of established players out there who may not necessarily want to pick up the whole box. And perhaps a couple of extra warbands for those people, so they can capture the people that maybe aren't going to go in for the full purchase, but by picking up a new warband that has some interesting new mechanics and so forth. So yeah, just to touch back before I finish really quickly on this Warcry card. Strange noise in the background are my dog. This one's really comparable to the leader of the Rotmire Creed, so same movement, toughness, number of wounds. Obviously the rune marks will do slightly different things. This one's 10 points cheaper and has 1 less attack and does 1 less damage on a regular roll. So generally speaking, if I was to pick one of the 2, I'd go Rotmire Creed, but this one's interesting. We know they've got a reaction, and they've also got another command ability here. Right, before my squeaky dog continues, I'm going to call that quits for this part of the video. So cheers for watching. If you'd like to see more similar content, feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel, and I'll be back as soon as we have some more exciting Warcry related news. Thanks very much, take care.